Everyone is talking about Oswin Appollis. Asked So what he thinks about the young man, and So was saying that he would be a good fit for Orlando Pirates because on the left hand side you can have Mofokeng, on the right hand side you could have Oswin Appollis. People have been writing that he could be going to Kaizer Chiefs, and then another journalist was contradicting the first journalist who said he's agreed personal terms with Chiefs, and he said no, that's not the case. So let's talk about him. What have you seen with him? Are you proud of him, given that he's playing for Polokwane City, but has managed to get himself to Bafana Bafana, which doesn't happen often?
To be honest with you, Nkulego, I'm very happy for the boy. Firstly, because he comes from the school of Ajax, went on to Super Sport,
Yeah.
did well there, even though a lot of people didn't get a chance to see him. Went on to Polokwane City, had a very, very good season, to be honest with you. Played for Polokwane last season. I felt that that was his breakthrough season where I think a lot of people got the chance to see and what he's capable of. But for me, Nkulego, I'm looking at the boy and what his qualities are. He's very quick on the sides, can play on both wings, technically very good. He's got the right vision, he's got the right awareness as well. Big temperament. He's got the pain resistance. I like his off the ball work, Nkulego. I think that's one of the things that big teams are looking for. Can you play without the ball? How good are you without the ball? Can you score goals? Can you assist? How many chance creation, box entries do you do? You know, for me, in terms of him scoring goals, I think that's where we can be critical of him because he gets a lot of opportunities, Nkulego.
Yeah.
He gets so many opportunities where I feel that he could punish the team and score. But I feel that last season he had an incredible game, an incredible season.
Yeah.
This season, I'm looking at him and I'm looking at what he's done for Bafana Bafana. 2 games, 3 goals. I think when Nkulego, he's done well for himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not often that you see a player. I'm trying to think as I'm listening to you that I don't know how many players from Polokwane City would have made a breakthrough to the national team. Maybe Rodney Ramakarera, but he didn't even make any impact if he played for Bafana Bafana whilst at Polokwane City. There's not a lot of people who play for such small teams who get an opportunity. Kudos to him for being able to use that opportunity. I think, or what do you think, in terms of should Polokwane City accept that they're probably going to lose him?
I think they should accept. But I think he's way more than 10 million in my opinion. I think he's a huge asset. I think he should be sold between 15 and 20 million. That's how much I rate the boy. To be honest with you, that's how much I rate the boy. I think the boy is very dangerous. I like a winger that destroys. I'm a fullback. He's a winger that plays in a 1v1 situation, isolates, but he's got the right brain as well to come into the amount of space and bring in the right pass. I think we saw him. I think there was a game we played last season where he played an unbelievable pass to Mrena, and Mrena went 1v1 with the goalkeeper and scored.
Oh, yes, it was earlier this year.
He's got an unbelievable vision. So he's a winger that can play outside. He's a winger that can play on the inside. I think it's going to be interesting for all the big 3 teams, which is I feel is more suitable for 2 in Nkulego, which is the Chiefs and the Mamelodi Sundowns. I feel that Orlando Pirates already has a Otladi Sang. They've got already a Quim Vidi. They've got players like Abolisedi Kapinga. So they do have depth in those positions. You know. For me, I'm looking at a Kaizer Chiefs. I'm looking at a Mamelodi Sundowns, for instance.
All right, let's touch on Orlando Pirates because I think with Orlando Pirates, it's likely that it will be Pirates more than Chiefs, actually, because Pirates and Sundowns have proven that they do want to spend money, and they do spend 10 million or more with players. And Orlando Pirates have got a good eye for talent as well. The only pushback for me with Pirates is that if you have Appollis, which is the same thing with the national team, is that there's a sacrifice that's going to need to be made.
Yeah.
And that sacrifice is either going to be you take Appollis to the right-hand side or Mofokeng to the right-hand side. And Pirates will have a dilemma of what do we do? And maybe they may not know how to solve that problem. Let's talk about Pirates. Assuming that Pirates also could be in the running for this player, we'll go to Chiefs, we'll go to Mamelodi Sundowns. Assuming that he goes to Orlando Pirates, how would they then integrate him to the team? Do they make Mofokeng fight with Appollis for that position?
For me, they already have 3 quality players in that position, which is my feeling they don't need him. They've got to Otladisa. They've got to Gilberto.
It's not like Otladisa has been playing there.
But I think there's a reason why they brought him in. I think he's young. He's a similar profile to Mfokeng. If you check Otladisa, I'm not saying the quality is the same, but I mean the profile. The profile of the player is quick, is dynamic, he plays off the ball, he creates chances, makes a lot of box entries as well. I understand? And he's got the right X factor to play for Orlando Pirates. The right pain resistance. So for me, I look at Otladisa, I rate him very, very high in Kulega. I know he's not getting game time. There might be reasons, we don't know. Maybe there might be injury problems there.
He may not even play for Orlando Pirates, actually. The way I see that situation, because he hasn't been playing the whole season.
You're looking at a Gilberto. I know that they're still bringing him into the season.
Gilberto might play on the right hand side.
On the right, but normally he plays on the left. That I think that's his preferred position, coming on the left, cutting in and creating those opportunities.
Sure.
Because he also likes Nkulego playing off the ball, where he runs in between that space here, centre back and full back, where he acts as a 9, which is, I think that's the quality of Ashley Dupree as well. Kaizer Chiefs. When we move on, when we speak about Kaizer Chiefs, that's another element. For me, you've got Mfukeng, a player who's been doing well, very consistent in his performances, very consistent in terms of creating chances, assists, goals as well, which we always say in Kulego, there's no hype in that boy. Do you bring in Appollis? In my opinion, no. Because Zotirela growth, that boy needs to keep on playing more than 70 minutes per game. So if he's not playing well, that's when you rest him and then you introduce a player like Abolisedi Kapinga, who I feel they're in the similar dilemma like Abo Otladisa.
Yeah.
I felt that they fell out of favor from the coach. Maybe they're not good with regards to training, because there's players in Kulego that are terrible trainers as well. We don't know I don't know the players personally, but you might feel, you get the sense of Utladisa might not be a good trainer. You get that feeling, Lisedi Kapinga as well, that he might not be a good trainer. With Gilberto, with the people that I've spoken to, they say he's a proper player. And that's another thing I think why they brought him Orlando Pirates Kulego. He's got the ability, which is what you're talking about, to play on the right, but he's also got the quality to play on the left, even as a number 10 or as a 9 as well.
All right. You are eliminating Pirates.
No, I'm eliminating Pirates.
That's your opinion, of course. I'll put them in because I know that they spend.
Yeah.
Just on the basis that they can be able to pay for that player. And Orlando Pirates have proven that they're not afraid of spending, and well done to them as well, because they are a big team, they need to spend. Chiefs, let's look at them.
Yeah.
I would eliminate them on the strength that they've not shown that they could spend that amount of money. But let's assume that they could then buy him. Let's assume that they could do that. But I would eliminate them just based on their history. It's not even an opinion. It's historically, you've not been able to buy players who are 10 million or more. Historically, you are reluctant to spend that amount of money. Now, assuming that they do buy that player, where would he fit in the picture? At least they have Gaston Sereno on the right-hand side, or he can play even on the left-hand side as well. Where does he fit in then?
For me, I'm looking at the Kaizer Chiefs signing Kulego. I'm looking at the signings. I'm looking at the profile of the squad. The coach brought in a very strong spine. The spine looks good. I think for me, the last piece of the jigsaw with Kaizer Chiefs is him, Appollis. For me, as a big club like Kaizer Chiefs, the first thing is, before anything else, the best players on the market, you need to sign them.
Yep.
A big club needs to sign the best players on the market.
Absolutely.
For me, if Appollis is on the market, he's young, he's 22, turning 23, is an international player, that's very important for Kaizer Chiefs as well, to bring in international players. He's got the right pain resistance, like we said, he's got the right game temperament. We saw him go Bafana Bafana against some of the best players in that country, like for example in Uganda and in South Sudan. He has outperformed his winger, played very well. He's a starter for Bafana Bafana as well. Kaizer Chiefs, for me, you go for that player. I think for me, he's the last piece of a jigsaw. Yeah. Looking at the fact that they've got Sereno, they've got a player like Umdu who's been doing very well with preseason. You've got Obrigado, the German machine as well, a young player. In midfield, they've got players like Abo Blom, they've got players like Abo Zwane, they've got players like Abo Yusuf Mart. For me, I'm looking at that spine and I'm saying to myself, they need a little bit of the X factor, which is what Appollis brings. They need someone who's very creative, someone or unpredictable. That's another thing. Can go out, can go. I think another thing that we haven't profiled in Appollis is that he's left-footed. He's both-footed. We saw a left-foot finish. We saw him. He's very comfortable with his right as well. Very comfortable decision-making as well. Very crucial in the final third. I feel that about Mamelodi, for me, they haven't really come to the party. Looking at a player like Usales as well. Not Usales, I mean Christian Sales. Hasn't really come to the party for me. I'm looking at the profile of wingers that they have. Maybe you can question and say, Ashley Dupree is the one that will play on the left, coming in and acting as a second striker.
Sure.
I'm looking at the quality as well. He can improve his finishing, which is, I feel, that to Appollis as well.
Yeah. So you've mentioned the qualities that we already know about Appollis, and I love that. Thank you. You've given us all the aspects that you need to look at a player, especially a wide player. Now, there's of course that, and then there's the reality of a club. Kaizer Chiefs, do you agree with this opinion that they have not proven that they are happy to pay 10 million? Because if you say Pirates, I would say, even if it's Oele Pirates and they have the same kind of players, but in terms of spending money, they could spend that money. If you say Sundowns, obvious, they can spend that money. But we can debate whether or not maybe he's got space there. But we know that they can spend. Do you believe that Kaizer Chiefs could spend for that player?
It's very tough to believe because they haven't done it for so many years, Nkolego. They don't break the bank for anyone. Do I see this one happening after losing Umayo and Mukwana? I see it happening. I see them breaking the bank for Appollis. Is it something that they're used to doing? Do they invest in such players? Do they invest so much money in these profiles? I don't think so. But I think this one is a deal that they need to get done.
All right, let's look at Mamelodi Sundowns before we go to the break.
Yeah.
Look at Mamelodi Sundowns. There's a lot of players at Sundowns. A lot of players at Sundowns. Of course, they are a national team themselves because they are really one of the best clubs in Africa, on the African continent. So we've looked at the qualities of Appollis. We know that he slots in at Sundowns and any other top team in South Africa. What could be the reason why he doesn't play at Sundowns? Is he better than what Sundowns has on the wide? Because obviously Sundowns doesn't play with width, really. Ribeiro is a wide player, but he's a wide player who knows how to play. He plays maybe half space between wide and attacking midfielder, central, So what would stop Appollis from playing at Sundowns in terms of the competition that's there and in terms of maybe the style of play as well?
You know what? Maybe let's start by this. The model of since Flemingberg, the sporting director, came, is that he signs younger players, that top young players for Mamelodi Sundowns, whether internationally or locally. We've seen that Ngabo Jorgensen, Keegans, and so forth, Abo Kodisang. I look at the profile of Appollis and I look at the profile of wingers that we already have. You already have a Tlauka, who's left-footed, comes from the DDC. You already have a Mapena in that space. Do you really want to bring in Appollis? For me, I say play a Mapena. Play the boy, the left-footed boy that played in the Ulitlako. Play the. You still have a Kodisang who's left-footed. You still have a Lisibanku. You still have a lot of players.
You guys have a lot of players.
We've got a lot of players in that space. For me, in my opinion, Nkulego, do you need a Appollis?
Sundowns could buy him because they could afford him. Because there's two things to look at here. Is the ability of the player and whether he deserves to play for these teams that we are mentioning. And the team's ability to buy those expensive kind of players. Now, what could be said with certainty is that Sundowns could buy him. And you mentioned something very important, that if we are to believe Sundowns has a new buying model, which is buy them young and prepare for the future, then they could buy him as well. And they have all the money in the world to be able to buy him. So I do see Sundowns buying him. The question is, would it be even a good idea for him to go there? Would he get game time? Is Sundowns under Mangoba Mngati playing a brand of football that wants wingers to cross to Arthur Salis, for example? If the answer is yes, maybe he needs to go there.
To be honest with you, Nkulego, he actually can fit with Sundowns, because if you can look at the game model, Coach Mangoba Mngati, is that he wants to attack Ngama fullback and keep them as high as possible. And Appollis has the quality of coming inside. I felt that maybe under Coach Rulani, he could have struggled because we did not use wingers where we needed a 3 number 10s. But now under Coach Mangoba Mngati, I think the influence and the emphasis of playing wingers is there. I think he might fit the bill, because for me, I look at his profile and I say to myself, he's a Mamelodi Sundowns player. He is a Mamelodi Sundowns player.
Every good player is a Sundowns player. To you guys, like in the eyes of Sundowns fans, every good player is a Sundowns player. And I don't blame you.
Yeah, he does have the qualities as well. Yeah. But the only critical thing I can say from the boy is there's no hype Mfukeng. Can you score? Can we see him cut in with his right foot outside the box, finish outside the box, shots outside the box? Chance creators. For me, there's a game where he played against Mamelodi Sundowns in the MTN 8. Got a chance where he came in second half, passed the ball to the goalkeeper. Happened against Uganda as well, where he got a lot of opportunity. For me, he's not clinical. He can work on his finishing. And this is positive criticism. For him to reach the level that he wants to reach in Kulego, he needs to score goals. He needs to assist. He needs to create chances.
All right, last one. Let's wrap it up. We'll go to the break very soon. Johnny Mukhaladi knows that Polokwane City finished in the top 8 because they had Oswin Appollis. Johnny knows as well that if he loses Appollis, his team might struggle and they might be battling relegation. If you had Johnny Mukhaladi, or Mukhaladi, the chairman of Polokwane City, you're probably thinking that this is not a good idea to let this player go. How do you play this one then? Do you reject every offer and let his contract run through? Or you cut your losses and you say, okay, let me take the money and try and grab a couple of players?
You know what, Nkulego? I don't think any club wants or any coach wants to keep an unhappy player. For me, I think you cut your losses, but you try and capitalize and try and get as much as you can. For me, you try and milk as much as you can, Nkulego. I think you can get a 15 and then try and reinvest that money. There's so many high-profile players that are still free in the market. For me, you take that money and you invest that money in some of the players that are free in the market, or you try and get some of the players that are there in some of the teams. But for me, you cut your losses because you don't want to keep an unhappy player.